Well, guys, you're on your own for this one. It's past turn 3, and I ain't making it. Tactical reserves is the topic. I'm Brad. This is Gavin and Jared. So basically, deep strike and outflank are gone. Yeah. We got some new things coming in, some different kind of abilities.
We'll have unit special rules, which are going to be
to emulate that.
Fluffier.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go right into one of the example that we have because it's just the coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah.
Big giant monsters digging holes underground, and your units following them in their tunnel.
So yeah, for Tyranids, we've had 2 different subterranean units. I guess technically 3, but 2 monstrous creatures. One of which was the Trigon, and it was more of the. It's a way of arriving to the table was that it would burrow in, and then you could have your units in 7th. You could have your reserve units follow through the tunnel. Anything that came after the Trigon to come out through the tunnel with it. Now we're having the subterranean assault rule is still there. It's instead of having a deep strike special rule, you create a tunnel with your Trigon, and you can specify a unit with the Tyranid High Fleet, I guess, faction to follow it through the tunnel, and they seem to come on right after the Trigon. So we don't know if rolling is going to be a thing for these reserves yet. We're actually just discussing that before this video, and we came to, well, we don't know.
Well, but for this specific one, it looks like you can bring him up. Because it says at the end of any of your movement phase, you could set him anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy model.
So I anticipate that we are going to see a lot of rules that play into that, where it just comes on automatically at your discretion, which is really important for what we're going to talk about is in a little bit. But the important thing is with the deep strike, with the removal of deep strike and how these things behave, scattering is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
With not only scattering is gone in shooting, but it's also gone in coming on the board.
And we can assault out of these special ways of going on. We may see certain types that we are not allowed to assault. Just as we said in our last video, each one of these special rules is specific to the unit.
But now there's a restriction.
Right.
With the 9 inches.
You have to be 9 inches away from an enemy model, and for the Trigon Subterranean Assault, your other unit that's following out of the tunnel has to be placed wholly within 3 inches of the Trigon and still 9 inches away. So you're able to assault, but the averages on your assault run are probably going to be against you.
Right.
Now there's some deliberation depending on how minute you want to get with your measurements. When it comes to charging, it says you only have to get in within 1 inch.
That's right.
So depending on the type of person that you are, you can either make it in an 8-inch charge or a 9-inch charge.
Yeah.
Because the wording says 9 inches
away from an enemy.
Away from an enemy, but it says more than. So some people interpret that as, oh, you're more than 9 inches, therefore that 8-inch doesn't count.
But then you also have to think, if the Tigron is coming up, and you have to be within 3 inches of him wholly. So now he realistically is going to have to be, 12 inches away from an enemy unit.
Well, that's
unless you completely circle
right next to each other. Yeah.
You're gonna have to be right next to each other or circling.
So the unit has to be within a certain size in order to fit wholly within 3 inches, and it's going to be wrapping around, which visually is thematically fluffy, and because blast templates are gone, that's not dangerous.
Yeah. But then how does that affect the charge if then only potentially half of your unit is going to...
Well, it just means that only a certain amount of units are going to be able to swing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the rules...
It's still just against you that much more.
It's still fun. Yeah, but I think who's not going to try for... a Trigon's still going to try for the charge.
Yeah, pop up and then have a unit of 9 Ravengers right behind him?
Yeah.
Oof, that's scary. Those things are monsters.
And that can just charge from the get-go. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I expect to see teleport instead of the teleport for Space Marines will work the same way. I don't know how drop pods are going to work.
That's going to be interesting as well.
Because that might behave the same way as Subterranean Assault, but it might not. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, then for me, I got my Wraith Knight. How's he coming in?
Yeah, we'll have to see how much. Well, he'll probably just go boop.
He's just gonna jump from outer space and just wham.
Yeah.
You should have a big shot.
What I'm really excited about is we've been shown Subterranean Assault, but we have not been shown the Molochs, subterranean feasting pops up and just like noms on whatever he's coming up against. It's gonna be really interesting to see how that works, if that's any better or worse than what we have now. Right now with the Moloch, if it doesn't come up the first time, it gets a free second hit, and then if it still can't come up, it gets the mishap treatment. And I personally like that because more often than not, I roll well on that mishap, so I get 2 hits, and then I just get to come back the next turn and try again. But I imagine we're probably gonna. We've seen in tournaments that paired with a lictor can be really, really, really bad against an opponent. So we'll probably see some balancing there.
Oh yeah.
And then if we go a little bit more into deployment, now there's no such thing as null deployment.
Yes,
You have to at least have half your units on the battlefield.
Yes, and the big block of text for tactical reserves that they've shown us, it states that instead of being set up on the battlefield during deployment, many units have the ability to be set up on teleportariums, high orbit, in reserve, etc., in order to arrive on the battlefield mid-game as reinforcements. When setting up your army during deployment for the match play game, at least half of the total number of units in your army must be set up on the battlefield. So this will straight up negate a lot of the powerful null deployment, like all drop pod lists.
All drop pod list.
Grey Knight,
Grey
Menace to
Knights,
Strike forces. What else were they?
There are a few, Raven Wing and Deathwing both had null deployment options.
Yes.
Most often didn't because you could use that scout to just get in people's face immediately. There's a few. Gene Stealer cults are a big one. I'm sure anyone who's playing Gene Stealer cults right now is probably shaking in their boots because a lot of their Gene Stealer cult's special ability was the ability to just null deploy mostly and then show up everywhere on the table. I have a feeling we're going to see some equally powerful abilities from armies like that they were kind of like one-trick ponies in the null deployment area.
Yeah, I expect to see
We'll see some changes because I know just from following a lot of the Games Workshop design team on various social media, a lot of them picked up Gene Stealer cults for their new edition, new army, so I feel like they're going to be good.
So now the more dangerous part of this tactical reserves is
yes, there's the
if you are not coming in on turn 3, you dead.
Yeah, the latter half says that even if every unit in the army has visibility, they will allow them to be set up elsewhere. Furthermore, in the match play games, any unit that has not arrived on the battlefield by the end of the 3rd battle round, which we can interpret as 3rd game turn,
right,
counts as having been destroyed. Those reinforcements just never made it.
No auto-ons anymore.
Yeah, this is
they couldn't find the planet. They couldn't find the exact battlefield.
Maybe they were
got lost in the warp.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons that you have behind it, but it is the exact inverse of 7th edition where you'd roll for your reserves leading up to that, and then on turn 4 and 5, they just came on.
They just made it on. Which goodness I needed so bad, and this scares me so much because on my Tyranid list, I play with Swarm Lord, so most of the time my units are coming on a 2-up, and I still roll those 1s. I still roll so many 1s. It's so bad.
Don't give your dice any love, man. So that's what we were talking about prior to filming. Is that we were concerned? It was an interesting point that came up. Was that the Trigon has this rule that says, he just gets set up at the end of your movement, but we don't know if
you have to roll
other
to
units.
That
Other units will have that. What about units that never had those rules and just want to walk on the board? Do you still have to roll for those?
Yeah.
We'll have to see when they roll out the big general rules for reserves. This was just only one small block that doesn't explain the rest. There's so many more questions to have about it.
As usual, they're giving us just enough to
make
pique
you
our
want more.
interest,
Make you want
but
more.
not enough
Make
to
us excited and scared at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just want something with Eldar. That's all I care about right now. I want to know what all my stuff is going to do because I still don't know.
I hope they just all go in the trash.
That's their special rule.
I mean, that's okay because
Put army directly in garbage.
because you guys all know what is replacing it, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, great. Hooray, Tau.
A big T.
I think that actually does it for this video on Tactical Reserves.
Close it out.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what armies you play and how you think this change to Tactical Reserves is going to change how you play it. I think that does it for us. Join us next time. See you around, guys.
Vehicles.
Coming up next.